All right, 9th of March 2025, a Sunday, and I'm still doing a market live talk with you because I really want you guys to benefit from this sharing and prepare yourself for tomorrow's market. Right. But before that, disclaimer apply as usual. Okay. Thank you very much for this evening. Let's go. All right. So before we start the day, I want to show something about the market. All right. Now, one thing to note, I have said this before. There is a high possibility that we will go into 24 hours trading on the market. I'm talking about the stock market. So the Nasdaq has came out and they likely will be joining forces to basically allow trading to be happening on a 24-hour schedule from second half of 2026. Yes, can you see that? The second largest US exchange operator has enabled the extended trading 5 days a week, according to Nasdaq president, is expected to do a start around the clock trading in the second half of 2026, pending regulatory approval and alignment with the rest of the industry. Now, I feel that they could even implement even earlier. That's my personal view. Yeah. So when this happened, definitely that will basically make the market even more crazy, and there'll be a lot of trading activity going on. And of course, there'll be really like you can trade the Nasdaq, you can trade shares in the middle in the morning in Asia's time itself. And I think this is a very big news in the time to come. So do watch out for this. Another news that caught my attention was China. Now, apparently China has came in and okay, China has came in and bought gold for the fourth month as the price hit record level. So it seems that PBOC is really buying a lot of gold, and that is a good news for us for in a gold market. But again, when I see this result, right, I also notice that when they talk about China buying gold and stuff like that, right, usually after that there will be some pullback. So that's the reason why I want you to be very careful, and please don't jump onto this and say, "Oh, this news is good, I'll buy gold." Now, when the news come out, and by right, the gold should go higher, but if it doesn't, right, then the opposite may actually happen. So please take note that this can be possible. Yeah. And the big news that I saw just now was this China consumer inflation turns negative for the first time in 13 months. So there's two ways to look at it. One way is that the CPI data going down is a good thing for the economy, right? That means that the market bullishness is actually happening, and also now more and more people coming back. So with all this thing all happening, I still strongly believe China and Hong Kong market will be a buy in the long term. All right, so that is something I want to share with you today. Now let's look at the charts, right? The more important to you right now. And you can see that the charts tell me strictly that gold has now come to a point that gold might be trading in two positive potential direction. One trades towards the 2956 level, 2956. Now that is the historical high. If not, the 5% pull down will be 2808, which is the 5%. Now, if you look at it, what happened back in November last year, when gold hits about this point, okay, about 2800, and that was where after that gold hits there, it's time to go, it went sideways a little bit, and then there was selling in the market and it hits the 90% mark itself, 95%. Then it came very near to 90%, very near, and recovered. Then it went sideways for quite a while. Then you notice the low gets higher, and then this is where it started the ball rolling, and we have a new high after that. So if you ask me, right, it is possible for gold to come down to the 95% mark, because that is where it came from, which is it's like a breakout, right? So I don't think it will come down to this point here. I don't think so. So I think it will hit this point and then start to go sideways and move up. My target is still 2980 for gold. I know that in the industry, many people has quoted 31, 315, or even 32. But to me, I think we hit 2980. I think that will be a very comfortable for us to take some profit and probably consider to stop trading on the gold unless something really, really nasty happen in the market. All clear? If all clear, start press number 2 right now. Okay, then of course, the next market I'll bring to attention is the Nasdaq. Now, Nasdaq has done something that I told you last week. The Nasdaq basically was a high of 22,226, went all the way down to the 95%. And you can see it actually stay above it, right? But the next following day, the Nasdaq broke below the 95% mark and went all the way down and hit the 90th percent mark very nicely. Last Friday, the Nasdaq went even lower, breaking below the 20,000 again, and then after that, it staged a very strong rebound to stay above the 90%. So what will happen next? I believe that if the Nasdaq can stay above this 90% mark, we may see a recovery back to here again. But if the market do try, then you come back down to 20,000 to retest this 90% mark itself. Okay, so the Nasdaq has hit the 90% mark. So traders who are short in the market may want to consider to buy back some position. But you look at the long term, there is a chance that this can happen. Because back in this July last year, okay, where the Nasdaq hits the high of 20,800, it came down to the 90th 5%. It came down to the 90th percent, staged a very strong rebound here. But once it broke below the 90%, it came down to the 85%. But the difference is this: the 85%, you can see very clearly, it was a very strong support, and it brought Nasdaq all the way up again before it hit back the high. So I suspect that the 20,003 will be a very important support level. As long as the Nasdaq stays above it, you are safe. But if the Nasdaq do pull back down to the 85% mark, that will be 18,892. So watch out for this number for the Nasdaq. If all clear, press number 3 right now. Okay, now this is the S&P 500, 6143. And again, very nicely, once it comes down to 95%, that's where it actually recovered from there. But when it closed below the 95%, now we are trading lower, right, at this moment. So I think that it's a very good buy if the S&P can come down to 55.29. Now, a lot of traders are saying that 57.50 is a very strong support, which is seemingly happening. So if that's the case itself, right, the S&P may recover back just like the Nasdaq if it does do that. If not, right, I think this buy at 55.29 will be a very good buy in the long term. All right, this could be a very good buy in the long term, 55.29. All right, last one, not least, will be the oil market. Now, my market already off from an all-time high for a very long time already. That's why you can see it's been a very, very heavy seller's market. But one thing to note, guys, if you look carefully on the crude oil, you can see that there is an artificial support at about $63. That means that every time when the crude oil do come down to about 63 to 63.50, yeah, to be precise, it's $63.50. The market may support. So now it's $67. If there's going to be any selling, I think 63.50 will be a very good time to buy into crude oil for a bit of rebound trade. Okay, a rebound trade. So everybody take note, 63.50 will be the level for a rebound trade. So watch out for that. Very, very important. Last but not least, now I'll bring to you Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin, as you can see, has already hit a 80% mark. Let's take a look. You can see right now, this is the highest point of Bitcoin at 109K. And when it came down, it hit 90%. It recovered, cannot stay above, came down, broke below the 90%. That's why it came down to 85%. And you can notice that after that, it rebounded, right? It just cannot stay above the 90%. So it came back down, broke the 85, and smashed down to the 80%. As a matter of fact, it came down to even 75%. Then there's a stage of very strong rebound right here, but immediately next day, the market sell off. So now if that's the case itself, right, there is a possibility for the Bitcoin to come back down to the 79,000 mark again. So I think that Bitcoin may be going back to 79,000. And of course, when that happens, that will bring down the NASDAQ. And that's the reason why I want to share this with you. So by right, NASDAQ should rebound soon. But because of this Bitcoin, right, I think that may actually change a little bit. So traders, you may want to watch out for this. And last but not least is the US dollar. All right, this is the US dollar. I think there's some charting issue. I'll check with Ames. But US dollar has came down quite a fair bit. All right, so traders, you can now take notice on this. Okay. So if the US dollar do come down to 102, I think that will be a very good level to buy the US dollar, 102 level. And of course, when the crude oil with the US dollar do go to 102, then there's a very, very high chance that gold will hit the 2980 mark. All right. So there's something that to take note of, everyone. Okay. Now, one thing is that this is silver, and I want to share with you silver. Silver has very performed like a gem in terms of this 5-minute retracement. The highest point was $34.86. And when it came down, it started to look at the 85% mark. Oh my goodness, it was pinch perfect. And now it came down to the midpoint between 85 to 80. So it's about 82.5. And then that created a double bottom and then bring it up all the way to the 95% mark. Recently, it came down to 90%, and then it recovered almost instantly. So I believe that this will push the silver back again to the $33.11 mark. So silver 33.11 is a very critical level. If silver can close above 33.11, then I think silver will retract back all the way to $34. We can go up all the way to $34. So for people who are in silver, you can watch out for this. All right, guys. So this will be the end of my market talk for today. I'm showing you this all the conventional charting. For the crazy chart itself, right? Obviously, you need to wait for the chart tomorrow to pop up. Then we can do that. So, is there any more questions that you want to ask me before we end this session? Or any trivial questions here when you ask me regarding about the market? Right. If you have no more questions and you think that you are good, then you put the word thank you, all right, to me. And that will be all for today's sharing. Like I say again, I really want you guys to perform well in the market and wish you all the best in the market. All right. Thank you very much. And I see that most of thank yous coming in. So that will be all for tonight. I will upload this to our Facebook later on. Okay, guys. Take care. Have a great day. Bye bye.